Hi, guys. We have been tap dancing backstage. Just kidding. When you do StreamYard, they say that they call it backstage. So we're just um, giving some time for people to get on. And
Mhm.
yeah, and right now I see zero, and now I see two. So that's good. We got two. We got two. Can I hear three? Can I hear three? No. Um, we we are a little wild and crazy and serious and fun and everything all tied up. Hello, Naomi. Hi, Kristen. Hi,
Hi.
JQ. Hey, Susan. So thankful you're here. Um, Mickey. So good to see you, Kara.
Um,
We're so thankful that you gorgeous, beautiful hearted ladies are here. And Susan says we look stinking cute. If she only knew, right?
oh my gosh. She's
It's
so
just
stinking
it's
cute.
real life. Yes, it is real life, real life. So yeah, we're just waiting a few more minutes because there's something that I want to play for y'all, and hopefully it's going to work. And then Carly's going to remind me to turn my computer down. Right, Carly? After?
That's right. I
Okay.
will do that. And
Okay.
I'm working on just pulling it up because tech stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, we're just so happy that everybody's here. And really, like our beautiful friend Susan said, already it is a success because people are connecting and people are putting personal stuff up. And I'm having so much fun just even looking at people's,
Yes.
like the things in their heart. And it's
Community.
just so cool. Yeah. And I don't know, it makes me just smile to see you guys and to know little bits about every person. And I realize I withhold a lot of personal information. So I think this will be really good and really healing even for me, just to share some stuff and to share really his story, as our friend Jordan says. Like it's really his story. So yeah, we're just gonna be sharing some stuff. Lindy, do you think we should just go, or what do you think?
Yeah, I'm just going to say a few things real quick. Kristen, don't
Yeah.
worry that you didn't see the intro and catch up when you can. We're going to give a little bit of recap, but you can go back and watch it. Yes, we did match on purpose. Somebody asked that, and I'm going to be truthful. Yes, we did. Um, and community does rock, Naomi. And Jenny, thank
Hmm.
you for coming in. And I'm so glad to see you. And I have a few Facebook users, and let me tell you guys something. This is something I'm really important I want to say. If we don't see, if we don't call your name, um, Facebook's being really funny. Like sometimes I go back on through the things and I see people. I'm like, I never saw them during the whole thing. And I want to say, just you're not being left out on purpose. But the people that I see that are Facebook, one saying you're both wearing blue, so calming blue. That person, I cannot see your name. And one
That's
more.
really cool.
That's who?
Oh, I was just saying that's really cool.
Oh, I
Just
thought you said
I
that was
love that.
Nicole. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. I zoned. Y'all might see a lot of zoning tonight. We just want to remind you that we want to be, hi, Simone. We want to be casual. We want to, I'm sorry. Naomi just said Facebook can be a butthead. You crack me up, Naomi. I'm sorry. Anyway,
That's awesome.
we just want to um be like we're sitting in the living room with you if we can. And
Hmm.
we're just a different style. There's not really class notes, although there will be some scriptures later on, but not like tonight or tomorrow. And I mean, we're going to share them. And I just want to say that I love every style of people that share. I love serious teachers. I wouldn't know half of what I know without them. But I love also just all the different flavors, and believe me, we're a different flavor. Might be one you don't want to taste. No, I'm just kidding. Um, we're gonna have fun, and I've had a little bit of coffee, so you might be able to tell that we love coffee, right? Coffee, coffee, coffee. Um, in fact, I want to show you. I have my coffee ready. Okay, we talked about having this is cold brew, and that's why it's in that kind of cup. But get your coffee, get your stuff ready, and I'm going to hit this. Okay, so let's pray this works. This is a little song, and if there is any guys on here, I'm sorry, but we're including you, even though it says sing it, Carly. I know you can sing it.
Oh, I was hoping you would. Oh, Kristen's so nice.
Have fun.
She did it.
Okay, I hope that you guys could hear that. That it was girls just want to have fun, and we just wanted to start off with that. Could you hear it?
Oh yeah, I could hear it.
You can hear it, but could they hear
I
it?
could totally hear it.
Somebody's going, ah,
I
ha,
think
ha, ha,
so
ha.
because
So
somebody said, yeah, Naomi said she loves this song.
I love it too.
Cara, do I say it Cara? Oh yeah,
Kara,
okay.
Kara,
Cara.
yeah,
How do I?
Kara. Because I
Yeah.
asked her that one time, but it's okay. I think she um is like me. Like I have people believe it or not, even say Lindy different ways sometimes. So, but Kara, as far as I know, um, Caroline's on here. Um,
Mm.
okay, so um, I'm going to tell just a tiny recap of myself. Okay, I'm Lindy Gohl. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina, and grew up here, but I've been a lot of different places. Lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Orlando, Florida. When I was married to my ex-husband, we were at Benny Hinn's church, and I was at Tulsa with Willie George Ministries with my ex, if you've ever heard of them. I'm remarried to a wonderful man named Paul Gohl, who is from England, and that's a lot of fun because I understand a lot of, well, not a lot, but quite a bit of Naomi's words, which we really have fun with that because they do some of that same thing, like calling university uni. I love him dearly. I have a daughter and a son and a bunch of grandchildren that I'm not going to take up the time to share with y'all right now, but they are a huge joy in my life. I went through chemo, let's just say years and years ago. Well, it wasn't years and years. It was, I finished wearing a womb vac, if you know what that is. It's when it's a hole that happened, and I had a very unusual chemo spill, and that's why you see me wiping my eyes sometimes, and some why I still have brain fog that I am healed of, and walking. I believe in that healing, but so if you see me zone out, sometimes it's that, and sometimes it's just the swirl, and some of you are going to know what that means, but I God got me through that. And so if you come on here and say it's easy to have joy, because da 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 da, listen, I've been to hell and back, and in many, many different ways. And I know that a lot of y'all have, and we're going to talk more about that later. But I just wanted you to know that about me, that I did come back to that, and I'm from that, and I'm thankful, but I did almost die. So, yeah. And I loved
You're here.
working for years with children. I worked with preschool children mostly, and then moved up to working with special needs children as an assistant. Then worked up to lead teacher. So, and that I'm not going to explain that right now, but yes, it was my favorite, especially my autistic children and my mine just went blank.
Oh.
I'll come back to that. But anyway, go ahead, Carly.
Yeah, I'm Carly and I'm in Montana, so pretty far away, but it was a really, really sunshiny day. And yeah, lots of stuff, lots of battles and even continuing ones. Like, Lindy was saying, I'm a stay-at-home mom. And so my bosses are serious bosses. They're really mean. No, I'm just kidding. They're beautiful and they're miracle babies and they're just promises from God. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how he's trained me to do the joy, to know joy, to find joy.
Yes,
So
that's
hopefully,
yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead. If you're not finished, go ahead.
No, no, that's I'm green light. I'm green light,
Yeah.
Lindy. You
Okay. Well, Carly is, you guys, Carly, you will know she is something special, and she's been through the fire too, and she is going to share about that. And I think if you're alive on this planet right now, in one way or another, you've been through trials, and God we overcome with God. But I just wanted to say that that's part of our desire to do this class, because there's so much serious, there's so much negative, there's so much negative vibe out there with everything that's happening. But you know what, it's also about what you focus on, and we want to focus right now on peace and joy and gratefulness.
Mhm.
And I just want to start out with something a little funny, because Carol Steinbrook, who is a friend of mine, said something really funny, and you'll have to read through her stuff. I'm not going to really tell it because it'll sort of give away, but it just reminded me of some things, and I wanted us to tell a little story about ourselves. So when I was little, um, my mom was cooking dinner, and I was probably 2 to 2.5, and she worked hard all day. I came home, and she came home, and I would be chatting my head off. And believe it or not, I really can be a quiet person. Quiet. It might not seem like I'm here, but I've had a lot of coffee. But
just
I can be in a group, a lot of times a quieter person, listening to what's going on and hearing and stuff like that. And in high school and stuff, I was very shy, but I was talking her head off, and I said, she's just going uh huh to everything I say. She's just trying to get dinner done. She's tired. I say, Mommy, I'm a lion. Can I bite you? And she said, uh huh. So I went over and bit her right on the butt. Hard. And she did not punish me because she knew she wasn't listening and stuff. But I thought that was sort of really funny. And so, young mamas, listen to your children. Um, and Carly has a little something from her childhood or teenhood to share.
yeah, it was an animal kind of thing. We were talking about animals and my I once went into my sister's room and she was, doing that thing that sisters do. She was annoying me. And I went in there and she was meowing and I was like, Rachel, knock it off. You need to go to bed. Um, and just trying to get her to just make sense of life and get to bed already, and she just would meow at me, and so I would say again and again and she would just meow at me like she was sleepwalking and she thought she was a cat. So kind of goes along with
And it freaks you out,
Lindy's.
right? It freaks you
Oh
out
yeah,
because she,
yeah,
yeah.
I was like, I need to have a conversation with my mom. It's like that was actually pretty scary. Plus I'm
So
more
those
of a
are,
dog person, so
yeah.
you know
So, and that is just a little something we want to break the ice with. I think we've broken it in many, many ways, though.
I
Maybe the
have.
sound barrier too. But I want you guys to know that even though we're joking and we're having fun, we've spent a lot of time praying about this and studying and just trying to hear God. And um, we just wanted to come on here and encourage you guys, have a light time, a joyful time, but hand in hand goes with the light and the joy comes some things that you walk through, in which
Mhm.
joy becomes a weapon in those things. But why do we want to laugh? One of the reasons we want to laugh, or why do we laugh, is that we are made in God's image. Where do you think that laughter and humor and all that, it came from our creative? We didn't come up with that on our own, and it's too fun to think that the counterfeit came up with it. He didn't. Jesus is, there's a scripture that says he sits in, or that God sits on the throne and laughs. and laughs. And I just wanted to share something that I shared with Naomi the other day. I love I love knowing that side of Jesus because I don't feel like it's talked about enough. Naomi was telling me because I'm sort of behind um in Chosen, and she was telling me when I'm getting ready to share that they're showing a little bit of this in the Chosen on the Chosen. But anyway, I saw Jesus sitting at a table, and he had his beard and everything, and right in front of him was this great big cheesecake. And this is not my imagination. I saw this in my mind anyway. And he looks at me like, you haven't seen anything yet. That was, sometimes in when you have vision or when you're seeing something, you hear and see. And so he takes his face and he's looking at me as he goes down and dives his face into the cheesecake, just like, and it was a huge cheesecake, just gobbling it up. And then he comes up just laughing with the stuff all over his beard. And it was almost like he was saying, you've not seen anything yet. And the piece of the pie is coming, and there's all kind of idioms and connotations to that. But I just loved him, seeing him laugh. And Carly had a little perspective on that when I shared it. Do you remember?
Did I? Oh no, I didn't know it was a
Yeah.
pop quiz.
Oh, maybe it was Susan. Sorry, Susan,
Yeah, maybe it was
if it was
Susan.
you. Okay, Susan was saying he wanted to join us in talking about our favorite food because we were talking about our dream meals. And I thought that because it was just a few days ago, and I thought, well, it was on one of the days that I was reading all you guys' things. So I think it was a beautiful way of him joining and talking about one of his favorite foods.
Oh,
So I'm glad to know there's going to be cheesecake in heaven. Yeah. But I'm happier to know that he has that joy and that mischievous. And Naomi said that he's a prankster. And I agree. And I love that.
oh, yeah. That's I love that.
And if we pause for a minute, guys, it's okay. I just want you to know that. Um, so, uh, joy and laughter give us strength. We know that from that word. And I just really encourage you. I'm going to read this real quick. Um, Nehemiah 18 from the message. And I hope you can understand my accent. No, um, it says, he continued, go home and prepare a feast, holiday food and drink, and share it with those who don't have anything. This day is holy to God. Don't feel bad. The joy of God, or the joy of the Lord, is your strength. And I really encourage you to study Nehemiah if you want to know some things about joy and stuff, and also the hardships, because the reason he's saying don't feel bad about drinking and eating and everything else is because um, they were feeling sorry about being faithless to God and turning away, and they were being instructed that that's not necessary. But I don't have time to go into all of that. But I just thought that was really beautiful, but I also believe that, um, it is such a strength and a weapon. I've learned that in my life, especially through the cancer. It was when I could go there. And let's see what else. I want to recap a little bit what I shared on the intro, and we're going to go back and forth in a minute. Um, and Carly's going to share some, but we're not trying to obtain faith. I mean, faith and joy, peace. It is in us. What we're trying to do is stir it up and concentrate on it. And we're going to talk about, and we already
Mhm.
have talked about, and I really highly suggest you go back and watch the intro if you didn't get to, because it included a lot of this. But we're trying to um, stir up joy. And I don't know about you guys, but reading your happy boys boards and the things that you wrote about them yourself and everything, it stirred up my joy. Just seeing community built, and the fact that we have people from the USA and 4 different time zones of the USA, Canada, Hawaii. Corinne is from Hawaii, and Austria, Monica, and all the Australians and beautiful Australians, and then did I get Monica with Austria? And the UK. We
Yeah.
have people from the UK, and I'm sure that I didn't hit everybody, but isn't it cool that we can build community across the world
Hmm.
in technology and having fun and being like we're in the living room together? So
Awesome.
I just want to tell you that that's part of our purpose, is to stir up the joy and to focus on the joy. Stir it up. That's right, Naomi. Um, and
Hmm.
and I think that point about not trying to obtain it, like we think it's out there somewhere. It is. I mean, there is manifest like a falling of his presence sometimes when it's, I don't know. I don't even have the words for that, but right now, but it is in us, and I want you guys to stir it up, and you have been doing a beautiful job. So, Carly, I'm going to let you go into some of your stuff now when you're ready.
Okay. 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 Well, mine is, about finding joy. And it is about, what Lindy talked about, just going through kind of a rough season. But I'm going to tell you stories about me finding joy and being trained with the weapon of joy. And it's about what I learned at trade school. And a trade school, it's a noun, it's a school or teaching unit organized by an industry or large company to provide training, apprenticeship, education, and similar courses. And so I'm going to explain what I mean by a trade school because I got an education on a field. Um, so I'm going to share just Bible stories as a testimony, and it's really his testimony how he came into my life at a really actually hard time. And this is literally training from a field, and it is about was trading my circumstances, my current circumstances, which actually were a little bit rough and rocky, actually strike the little from the record because it was really hard. It was the hardest thing that actually I'd ever gone through to date. And it's the story of losing myself actually, but I gained God. And I had known him all my life. My mom was one of those great moms who forced us to go to church. And so she had us go, and he was my best friend actually. I didn't want to take like those, remember those best friend necklaces that like your friend would give you, and I didn't want to accept one because I was like, well, Jesus is my best friend. But my mom explained, if you okay, baby, can you go get it? Because it's dead. Okay, can you plug it in? It's not dead. Can you plug it in for her? Me? Yes, please. Okay. That's real life. Okay, Bobby's gonna help. He's gonna just charge it up, okay?
It is real
This
life,
is
and I encouraged
yeah.
her, Carly, that when I do my Wild Hearts, I always want young moms in there, and this happens. It is okay, guys. Real life.
Yeah, it's real life. So anyway, so yeah, about the necklace. My mom was just explaining that, you know what? It's okay. Like Jesus knows you can take this necklace. And anyway, different life circumstances. I walked away a little bit, and I found myself actually I'm going to try help this a little bit. But I found myself being sick. I got sick, and I actually just never got better. And that was my senior year of high school. And I thought that God was using that to humble me. And quite frankly, I didn't know the true definition of being humble, believing what God says about you. Baby, I gotta do this class, okay? I know. Okay. And she knows. So, anyway, so I started just kind of walking away because I didn't understand and I didn't know my identity, of who Christ was in me. And so when I got sick, it really, really kind of hit me hard. And it just sort of we sort of brought a little wedge, and I just started kind of walking away and walking away. And um, I guess I was a little bit lost. And so when I started dating this guy, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure of who I was. And I started asking God. I started asking God, is this the guy for me? Is this what you want for my life? Like, it checked up all the boxes. And so I thought, this is it. But I kept asking God and I kept asking God. And that 10% in me was, I had no peace. That's and he was speaking. He was telling me, he was answering me with the lack of peace. But I didn't listen. I didn't listen to that part of me. I didn't have the Godfidence, as Susan calls it. I didn't have that, instilled in me. And so he asked me to marry him. And I had these reservations. I didn't call my friends when we got engaged, all these little things, like looking back. And so I just thought, well, I need to stick to my word and I need to do it because I said that I would. And I got in a really, really actually pretty scary situation. And so, yeah, there was a part of me that on even the wedding day, I thought about taking the motorhome that I was getting ready in and jumping the border, like going to Canada. But I didn't do it because, you got to stick to your word. Anyway, so that got to be scary really fast, actually. So what I would do while I was out there, I was extremely isolated. And what I would do is I would go for a walk every day. And I would just tell the Lord that I was like, this is like my tent of meeting. I get to be Moses and I get to meet you, because I was easily distracted. Things came pretty easy for me. But out there, I had him, and that was one of the best things ever. Even though it felt really, bad at the time, because I had one voice telling me accusation, kind of from, you know the morning to the night. It was very accusing, just not a good situation. But you know what, when just my back was against the wall, gosh, Naomi, that, wow. I It's like I looked for him. I repented, I looked for Jesus. And that was when I started really getting to know him again. I had, like I said, I'd gone away, but I needed him so desperately. I needed him every second of every hour of every day. And his voice became so loud, even though the other voice was louder, but that still small voice was just louder and louder. And I would start reading scriptures in the bathroom, which I used a lot because, like I said, I was sick. And without, saying too much nitty gritty stuff, I was in the bathroom a lot. And how cool is it that, like, that's where I would keep the word and I would start reading things and it would come alive to me. I mean, what a novel idea, right? To actually read the Bible instead of, like, just go to church and, like, listen how you can be a good Christian. And that's part of, like, what actually turned me off, was that it wasn't necessarily fun to me. And I thought, this is a list of the do's and don'ts, and this is how you be a good Christian. And growing up, I was like, I didn't find it hard to be good. I wanted to be good. But when these other things happened, when I thought, and Wendy, you talked about this even, like, when I thought that I was bad, I just didn't know how to navigate that. I didn't know how to, like, repent to, to that he had loved me anyway. But I started, like, I remember one day doing dishes and, like, this light came pouring in and it felt like it was just for me. And I didn't realize, but my sister had been praying for light to come to the marriage. And I didn't know that God spoke like this. And I didn't have anyone telling me, like, there was nobody on there. Out there, I was, like, literally crazy isolated, like, beyond. It was not a Hallmark channel, but what's the other one? The Lifetime ones,
Yeah, the Lifetime channel,
like,
and yeah,
the,
the dramas.
quite a bit. Yeah, like the dramas, like that stuff really. I don't know, buddy. You're just gonna have to wait. Um, yeah, that stuff is real. And as you guys have said, and I bet some of you have similar stories. Anyway, but the word just became alive, and without distraction, you know, it's just like the what was meant for severe isolation became my actual best friend because he was there and he started just training me and training me and training me. I just remembered the things that were told, and that could be any line, accusation, like right, any voice that comes against us that wasn't matching up with what the rest of my life had been. And I just remember crying for hours about kids who didn't know, kids who had never had like love in their life and didn't know. And so I started just praying that, Jesus would go and just tell them if they were in like abusive situations, because I had a great upbringing and felt love like that. But I so it was a pretty crazy time actually. But I did have favor to watch Joyce Meyer, and I think that was a total God thing because looking back, it made no absolute sense. Even then, it didn't. And so she was just this fiery girl, and she just got on, and she was like, "The joy of the Lord is your strength," Nehemiah 8:10, which Lindy had already mentioned, and that he was building that knowledge of the dwelling place in me. And I heard her say that joy is something that no one can have unless you hand it over. And joy is not happiness. And it is the Lord's and it is yours. Like he gives it to you. Like Lindy was saying, like we don't attain it. It's something that he gives us and we can stir it up. And so that is when I was like, I am going to choose joy. And I still remember just absolutely taking that to the bank. And I would start to say that I will not give my joy away to anything who is coming to steal it. I will laugh when things are funny. I will be thankful and I will smile. I will smile when I can. And even if your heart is heavy, like it's like this choosing. And I would go for these walks and just be really, really truthful with the Lord. And in my bathroom breaks, I just felt like David came alive to me. It was like he was my person at that time because like I said, went to church, heard the messages, heard how to be like a good Christian, but I was like, David is basically saying that it stinks right now, that it, like my circumstances, it is not okay. I used to be like, oh, I'm fine. This is okay. I can handle this. All those miniature little lies we tell ourselves. But I started being like, this is not okay. This situation is not okay. Um, and like David, it was like, I'm allowed to say this. I couldn't believe it was in the Bible. And that's just telling on myself, just saying, if we're not in there, if we're not doing it ourselves, it's just amazing to me how David did that. So when I was going on these walks, I would just tell him, you know, this is not okay, this is not good. I would tell him it stinks, and just like see Steph's class prior to this, like how she was just saying that. It's just beautiful how he works that out, that we can be truthful with God. And that is what I just love so much about David. I was just like, so I just felt like he was teaching me how to David a thing, and how it was to trade in my circumstances, lay it all out there, and that was okay to tell the truth. But always look up, take that and then trade his circumstances for the truth, for really who he is. And it was like, just how awesome he was. And just looking at the sky, like the Lord would say, come up here and look, come up here and look. Don't stay down there. Let me show you what it looks like from my view. And it was like, he would say things like, look above the clouds and watch me work my fields and my land from up here. And I would spend hours walking with him. I would spend hours singing, and I would determine that I would not go in. Like, I would not go in the house until I felt in my heart that I could be thankful about one thing. And I know that that sounds extreme, but like when you're in those extreme pressing situations, like Lindy had talked about, like I know a lot of you have walked through and are right now, it's like just to just choose it and just to say, and I'm not saying it's like this thing that works all the time, but he is who he is. And that means we can, it's always there, it's always available. And I'm using my hands like a wild Italian. But anyway, I would just spend hours. I would just be like, I'm not coming back from this walk until, I felt light about something. It could be a puppy, it could be a blade of grass, because he made it. And it was real. And so that is how he was training me, in joy. And there were some wild things that happened, some wild supernatural things. I'll tell about a couple. Um, Once it made no sense. I mean, I was just like reamed out from one side to another for hours, and I was bawling, just bawling in the bathroom, and my feet literally started dancing. It's like the Holy Spirit, I could not contain him. He was like, this is who I am. I didn't understand it. And I opened up the Bible like later when I could, and it was like, he will set your feet to dancing. And it was like so supernatural. I didn't know that that was a thing. I did not learn that in church. And then another time I was out, and it was like I got so light in my spirit that I flew. Like I haven't told a lot of people that. I mean, I can now, but I flew and I could see above, and I didn't know that that was a thing. I didn't even know that that was possible. So I just started feeling like, and of course I had decisions to make, and the ultimate, and I would give that over to God again and again. And it was not easy. And those situations are not easy. I would not suggest not listening to God to figure that out. But like Lindy was saying, situations will come, and we've gone through them, and it's still, coming. But I just wanted to just say that it was also those times. It's like we can be like Paul in prison in that muck, and I could get it. I could get it that he was saying, I have got him. Like it doesn't matter. I can sing in these circumstances. I have joy. You cannot take it from me. Like I thought it was so cool to be like, I know what he went through. So it's like that suffering and that grit. It's like that was the thing. It was like what was meant to, isolate me, wipe you off the planet, whether it's
Destroy you.
emotional,
Yeah.
physical, destroy you. Like it doesn't
Mhm.
matter how it comes. It like whatever. Because that is just a chapter. That is just a minuscule little thing. And he will come. And when we give it to him, he will make that. Okay, baby, go ask daddy, okay? Okay, I'll be right there. But he will take it and he will make something beautiful of that. And so it's like those little chapters this is just part of the story. It's just part of his testimony in us. It's part of his in all of us. And so it's all for his glory, his story for his glory. When we turn it over, baby, you gotta go ask somebody else. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Here you go. Can you take this? And chocolate milk break. But so it's like to weaponize that. And so that is why those things are like, to me, my analogy of, I don't know, where's Bubby? A trade school, because you learn those things. It's at an accelerated rate. It's like hands-on, nitty-gritty, but you can walk out of those places and you can use them in the world. And I just wanted to share Psalm 51:12 from the Passion Translation. It's, let my passion for life be restored, tasting joy in every breakthrough you bring me. Hold me close to you with a willing spirit that obeys whatever you say. And I just love that verse. And I know that I've talked a long time, but I just wanted to say one encounter that even happened this morning. Mom, Daddy, tomorrow. Okay, baby, I'll help you in a little bit, okay? And sorry guys, but anyway, this morning,
Okay.
the
It's
I
okay.
just was having just a heavy time, and people might be feeling that in the world. They might be going through something right now, like I currently am. Like Lindy said, the community, it's an important piece, but this is what happened this morning, and this is a surprise for Lindy because she's not heard
Oh,
this yet. Um, but this morning I was just praying and I was just feeling this heaviness, and I saw armor, and I saw the Holy Spirit come, and he was wearing this armor, and he pulled up his like helmet, and there was black on the ground, and there was fire, and there was smoke, and he just said, he said, give me all your fight. Like, give me all your fight. And it was like I could trust him. And it was like I just went like this, and I could see, just a second, baby, all this fight leave me. Like all my fight. And it was like handing it over to him. And it was so powerful. So I just, if any of you feel led, yeah, there is a lot of heaviness in the atmosphere. If any of you feel led, I mean, this might be a corporate word, and I feel like perhaps that it is, but it's like all that fight in us, like he was just inviting me to give it to him, just to trade that, because just to give it to him, and he fights our battles, and just like Exodus 14:14. So, anyway.
beautiful, Carly. And you know what? I felt in my spirit, but I didn't want to tell you this because I didn't want there to be pressure. Like when you said to me, I'm not sure I have that much to share or that many notes. I felt like that this was going to be a time you were sharing more than me, and it was okay with me because now it makes sense to why some of my notes were silent, more like sound bites than flowing together. And I just want to say some things to you. I think this was meant to happen. I am so happy about it. It was beautiful meaning, and you were sharing. Well, I'll just tell you some guys something. First of all, tell you, Carly, that many are relating to this. And second of all, Carly and I have some similar stories in the background of this, and even our love of the story of David. In fact, my son's name is David, and it's because it's one of my favorite stories, and how David did the same thing that Carly's talking about. No matter what the circumstances were, he chose to partner with joy in the end. Now, he poured out his emotions. He was real, real talk Kim, and um, he was real. You saw his anger, you saw his humanity, you saw his joy, you saw his sorrow, his confusion, everything that came against him. And I have a similar background in the back, but I really was wanting this to happen. I was really wanting to see this come out of Carly, and it's so beautiful. And I love how she shared um, the way she did. I think that's bravery. And I also want to say that I want you guys, I know that we're talking about joy, but this is the base of the strength of joy, and why, like she was talking about when she would go on a walk, if there was a blade of grass or whatever it was that she looked at and paid attention and focused on, those little things right there, when you're in those circumstances, and we're in some of those circumstances now that can be overwhelming, like Naomi said, lots of heaviness in the air. Well, when we intentionally partner with joy, and when we intentionally focus on what is good, I mean, that is something that David is so good about in the Bible, is turning back and intentionally looking at what was good and being grateful for what they had, being grateful for what's around, being grateful for what God created, being grateful for the things that we might not notice if everything was going perfect. And I'm not saying God makes that happen so that we, will be joyful or take notice of him or whatever. What I'm saying is the things that are, the Bible says that we're born, I think, sorry, maybe Naomi can give me the scripture, but I think it talks about we're born at war. And, and, and so the way that we war is with peace and joy. And she gave such beautiful examples of that, of partnering with that. And I am delighted that she shared as much as she did. And I'm just going to follow up with a few things and see if she has anything else. I'm going to throw in something that has to do with, noticing those little things in those moments. One of the things is it's a fact that our senses can bring joy. Um, you know, the smell of coffee, the smell of oranges, gardens, being out in the garden, chocolate. Um, you know, there's a fact that 5 seconds of smelling something you like causes serotonin in your brain. So that's something to think about. Doesn't make everything better? No, but it helps us center ourselves and have something happy in the middle of the heaviness. And and the if we're walking with the Lord, you might think, well, that's not very spiritual. Yes, it is. He created the chocolate. He created the senses. He created our brains to react that way to those smells and those scents and stuff. So um I just I love that so many of you were relating. And also laughter. um I wanted to talk a little bit about stirring up the laughter, that watching funny movies, singing songs, being silly, getting on a live with your friends and just, talking about everyday stuff. Not that we don't talk about the Lord, but He is in all that stuff. There's too much separation of, okay, well, I'm going to take my 5 minutes for God over here, and then the rest of the day is just going to be secular. No, we are all, um, we are all just really, everything that we do, as long as it's moral, is 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 with God, because we're not separate from Him at any time. So, and He made all of this, and laughter is a good medicine. And that's what I was going to say, is that it is proven that it enhances um, immunity, immunity, and it reduces stress. And one of the best ways to be and find that joy is to be like a little kid. And we're going to be sharing more about that. Um, but one thing I want to encourage you is that joy is on the other side of fear. So, one little challenge I'm going to put out there, this is not an activation, but joy is on the other side of fear. And I'm just going to encourage you to try something new, something that you've been afraid to do. Even it can be little things like, I don't want to try that food, or I don't think I'm going to even try painting because it's like, I just can't do that. I just, anything that you have desired to do and not done it because of fear, I want to challenge you and encourage you, because joy is on the other side of fear. Fear can hold us back from so much. Fear can hold us from stepping out and doing a live. Do you know
Mhm.
that when I went to UP, I cried and cried and cried and cried, because I had been, after the chemo, was hidden for like 6 years, and I was not online. I don't think, no, maybe writing, but not visually. And when I found I had to be on there visually and speak visually, I cried. And I'm like, I'm getting my money back. I'm not going to that school. But I felt God keep nudging me that way. And the Keith Ferrante was the teacher, and his wife Heather helped me, because stepping out like
Mhm.
that was so freeing. So guys, you don't have to do it, but we love seeing your faces. I love when Jennifer Brooks shared, and you don't have to do that. Don't feel pressure, but you will be surprised. If you haven't done it, how freeing it is. Okay, people love you for who you are. They love hearing your voice. They love seeing you. It's it's um it's part of community. So I'm just encouraging you with that. And um before we go into the um to some of the things that we're going to do, Carly, hold on, I'm just
Yeah.
making sure I'm catching up. Um is that, oh yeah, I just want to encourage you to write in a gratitude journal or on a piece of notebook paper, on note cards, and keep it with you like medicine. That's sort of like the happy bird. Yes, there's a happy bird coming. It's called an eagle. The happy boards. Okay, happy boards. If it's a board, is it hard to carry around digitally? That's a great idea because you can have it with you. But I also want to encourage you to write, because you'd be surprised how much comes out in your writing for gratefulness. But
Mhm.
I just want to um, you to have, actually, it's like a treasure box. Okay, a treasure box of stored up things that when things are heavy you can go to, and it's not just for you. Guess what? You're going to find out that your happy boards and your verses that mean so much to
Mm.
you, and all those things are not just for you, because you're going to find out that you can go into that and draw from it and encourage others with it. And Carly's going to talk about some of that in just a minute. But I just wanted to read a verse, and I may put some of these verses up later, that God was speaking to me. I want to go back to Romans 15:13 in the Passion Translation. Now, I know that a lot of people are stickler for King James and all that, and please go look at it in that too. I look at many different versions. I love her little voice. Romans 15:13. Now may God, the fountain of hope, fill you to overflowing with uncontainable joy and perfect peace as you trust in Him. And may the power of the Holy Spirit continually surround your life with His super abundance until you radiate with hope. And I just love that in the TPT. And, you know, like I said, if you want to really know, like the Hebrews, the Greek, all that, that's very important too. But I love all the languages and all the flavors. And let's see. Remember not on. I think I'm just gonna leave that for right now, because we've gone for a while, and I want to make sure we get these activations in. So the activation this week is, um, we want to encourage you to do something with creative joy, whether it's something you make, something you paint, something you write, something you say, any kind of creativity, because creativity stirs up joy. And I know one of the reasons it does is because God, our Father, and Jesus and the Holy Spirit are creative. I mean, He created the world with His creativeness. I mean, look around. I mean, I can't even imagine that kind of creativity of every part of this earth and every animal and insect and oceans and you
Yeah.
know, the different people, the different flavors. And we want to see your different flavors. And you know, if it's simple or if it's complicated, whatever way you want to do it, don't say I can't do any creativity, because we are all creative in one way or another. If you're having trouble, you know, ask Him. But I'm sorry, I did not mean to leave that up. I sometimes forget about that. And I'm afraid now to take that down, because it's doing this weird thing like it's gonna. So you're staying up there, Susan. Sorry, because it's acting like it's gonna shut the
So
whole thing off. Yes. Um, so um, anyway, just, you know, fight that fear or that thought that says, well, I don't have anything to add to that. Creativity can even be in adminning. You know, it takes creative
yeah.
brain to, you know, in fact, our friend Susan and I know Naomi are very, you know, and Shannon. I'm just saying people that I know. I'm not just picking, you know, people, but the people that I know have this very creative and talented. My husband, of it takes a creative brain to see all those things that are needed. So, math is creative. So, whatever way, we just want to encourage you to share something in the group. Should you choose, this is your homework, and Carly's going to give you the second half. And we're not demanding it, we're just encouraging it because it's fun, it builds community. And yes, so, but thank you, Carly, for sharing from your heart. I'm so proud of you. And it was I'm
Oh,
so glad that what I thought might happen did happen. And so anyway,
you
the second
you
part
might you might be a tad prophetic. I mean,
might
just
yeah,
maybe.
thank you for always saying that to me. It encourages me.
Oh my gosh, Lindsay. I am honored to be here with you. And I love what you said. I love that joy is on the other side of fear. Like, let's just do it. Let's just be bold together. And I was like Lindy too. I was like throwing up scared. And so, but look what happens. I love it too. And so, yeah, so the other thing, because it's about choosing joy, right? We're like
Hmm.
choosing things, we're like talking about who God is in our circumstances. But the other thing that you could do as a choice is to encourage five people. And I guess it wouldn't have to be five, but it's just a good, good number. But, it doesn't have to be anything special. And I know people are already doing that, like in Jess's. I think people have a good thing going here. Um, and it doesn't have to be, it can be random people. You can ask God for five names and just tell them, just to lift up their day a little bit, because it's amazing what that does. Like Lindy was saying, like even the happy board, it's not just for you. It's like, it's just joy can go on and on and on. And it's just cool. And I think God really cares about it right now. I even got this note from my pastor's wife. It says, "Today I choose joy." And it's all about, I got that yesterday in the mail. So it's just, we're loving what everyone is doing, and it's fun. It's really encouraging, and we're just so not alone. And I'm probably rambling, Lindy, but I love, and you can do it all, right, Lindy? You can do all the things. Like, let's just go for it and break through these barriers. Like Naomi's created such a beautifully safe place. Gotta love the rules. Rules are like safety. And so I just feel like it's such a safe place. And we are choosing joy right here, right now. We are taking all of our chapters and we are going forward and onward. And yeah, I don't know, Lindy, what else? What do you think?
I'm sure there's things that I missed that I was going to say, but you know what? I
Yeah,
told you whatever comes out is what was meant to be, and I think that's
yeah,
true. And yes, some creativity does take time, but
yeah.
you can make it as simple as little. Like if it's a painting, you can make it tiny. If it's writing, you can make it a few sentences. Whatever you have time to, just a little sample to step out. Hey, Jen Martinez, it's so good to see you. She's singing in her, I'll put it up here. Um, but yeah, we love you. I do want to ask a favor. I want to ask how this has affected you and how this class is affecting you so far. And if you would leave us some feedback, because it really helps us to know direction wise. Not, I mean, most of our direction is definitely coming from the Lord, but we just want to
Mhm.
hear. And I want to say something about joy bombs real quick. Joy bombs are a lot of the things that I said that they're like, you know, there's lots of different definitions for them, but I just want to bless you with a joy bomb as we go out. Um, I just want to speak into your life this week opportunities to throw joy bombs at other people. I I want to speak into your life that joy will explode and bubble up in your spirit like it has not in a long time. That it's stirred up by the way that I see you guys stepping out and that we see you stepping out, and that you know uh, uh, Carly and I are both like, there's some people that I know, they'll just go on camera and it doesn't even faze them. I think my friend Shannon is very much like that. But Carly and I both are very similar in the fact that until we're doing it, and even sometimes when we're doing it, it's getting
Hmm.
there, and then it's sort of okay. It's like getting in the car and you just drive, but sort of. But getting there is we face that fear, and we step out. And so I'm just encouraging you guys to do that. And I just I just really want
Mm.
you to know there's more joy coming, there's more peace coming. It's going to be joy and peace. We may focus more on peace, but I mean peace next week, but I'm not sure because it seems like peace has really been um, resonating with people and so much needed. So we'll talk about that. Carly and I will talk about that. But if you'll just drop us a line and let
Hmm.
us know in the chat or on here. But anyway, thank you so much. And it's an honor, Carly, so much an honor. And I want to encourage you again that was just so touching and so beautiful and moved me. And even though I've been through a lot of same, just a different way, but still the similar things, it came out so beautifully. And yeah, Susan said, many people are suffering in silence in community, and it's so important. Sharing vulnerable things shows many are not alone, and that joy is possible in any circumstances. And that's true. We talk about that a
Hmm.
lot. Even leaders and pastors and teachers, we need your encouragement. And I, I really feel like you're going to see, I mean, there is going to be so much fruit of this. So we just bless you with that. I'm going to close up and just bless you with the joy bomb and joy bombs exploding in your life. And take time for those little things. Write your gratefulness. See what you notice. Because even those little things, God speaks to you. I mean, He speaks to me in practical things so, so, so much. So, Carly, anything that you
I
want
love
to?
that. You are a recap genius, Lindy, and I'm honored. It's been so fun, and I do love that we're friends, and I love that we got to do this together. And I just pray, Lord, that you come like just a supersonic tidal wave of joy, that they tap into your vein well of joy, and that it just explodes, and it is like more than we've ever even known. Just at this time, that people just notice it and they ask. And we get to tell them why. We get to tell them that it's Jesus and that it just is shown on us. So I just pray that, Lord, you just have us feel that this week. And thank you to Naomi for just being wild enough to let us speak.
That's one thing I love about Naomi. She's a fearless leader. She's a fun leader. She is so real, and I can't wait till she gets on here with us sometimes and shares a little bit more of some of her wild and crazy stuff. I love it, and I love a leader that can be that vulnerable and that
Me
real,
too.
and just I so appreciate you, Naomi, and thank you for letting us do this. So
Mhm.
we bless you and good night. Bye. Oh, it's fun. We appreciate you
So
being
fun.
here. So fun.
So
Bye.
fun.
Bye.